Following on from my video last week, I'm going to carry on looking at the post, explaining why we don't need to have everything figured out in our 20s. The next point in the list says that when it comes to breakups, we need to let go. No ex-stalking or obsessing. Move forward and do not shut down your heart. Getting hurt in love is something we all experience. That's definitely something that almost seems kind of human nature for us to do, to want to figure out, is the person that we've left unhappy? We sort of want them to be miserable and unhappy without us. So we want to go and look through their social media to find out, are they miserable? Are they posting all of these sad quotes? Or have they moved on? I think it's got a lot worse since we've had social media, because we can stalk someone's page to find out what they're thinking, what they're going through, especially if you're the type of person that posts on a regular basis on social media, and so are they. So it's important to block them, to unfriend them, to not fall into that trap, and to not be tempted to want to find out if they're struggling or if they've moved on, because it's not going to make you feel better. Even if they're really miserable, that's not going to make you feel any better. If you've ended the relationship or they've ended the relationship, there's a reason for that. You need to learn and grow from the relationship, get what you can out of it, and move forward and become a better version of yourself in the future, so that you don't make the same mistakes again, and that you meet a person that is right for you, hopefully. The next point that they mention is that there is no one soulmate. You will probably have multiple romantic relationships, and the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. No one can complete you other than you. That's quite an interesting point to mention, that a lot of us from a young age will be trying to look for that one right person, that one person that we can get married to, have children with, and have a future with. But if we don't know how to love ourselves, then we're never going to appreciate other people loving us, we're never going to accept that love, and we're never going to know what we actually need in a relationship. There's a big distinction between loving yourself to the point that you put yourself first in everything and you become selfish, and understanding your needs, your desires, your values, and not compromising on those values. There's a big distinction between the two. So it's important to make sure that yes, you need to learn to love yourself, and you need to learn to appreciate and value yourself, so you then know what to accept from other people, what love is. If you don't understand how to love yourself, you don't have any self-worth, you're not going to find someone who treats you in the way you deserve to be treated, because you're going to think you're not worth much. So it's important to understand the concept of loving yourself, but not to the extent of putting yourself above everybody else. That's not how it should be. You should put others first, but you should know what your boundaries are, what your values are, and you should not compromise if someone comes along and tries to break those boundaries. That's the important part, I think. And as to there being no one soulmate, that's something that I don't think anybody really knows the answer to. People that find a person they're happy with will say, yes, they're my soulmate, but you're never going to completely know if there is only one, or if that person didn't work out, then there are more. I think, in my opinion, love is a choice. I choose every day to love my partner. I choose every day to be with him and nobody else. It's not a case of fate as far as I'm concerned. It's a case of I've chosen to be with him and he has chosen to be with me. So in that respect, we are soulmates for each other, because we have chosen to be with each other exclusively and nobody else. But I don't think it's healthy to think that the first person you meet, the first person you're in a relationship with, is your soulmate, especially if you're at a young age. You're 16, 17, 18, whatever. You're not old enough to completely understand what you need and what you want from a relationship. You're still learning and discovering yourself. So if that relationship doesn't work, which for most people their first relationship doesn't, don't think of, well, that's it, I'm never going to find love. That's when the soulmate part can be a bit of a problem. It's important not to think that the first person you meet is your soulmate, the one you're going to be with forever. It's important to understand that you need to make a choice to be with them and to love them, and they need to make a choice to be with you and to love you. And if your values don't match, then it's not going to work out. If you want to be with that person and that person only, and they want more of an open relationship so they can date around, it's not going to work for you, because you only want that one person. So you need to find someone that matches up with your values. And when you find someone, when you're happy to choose to love them every day and they're happy to choose to love you every day and not anybody else, that's the best you can get in a relationship. I think that's all that matters. But again, going back to the other point, you're not going to understand what it means to love someone or to be loved if you haven't first understood your value, your self-worth. So that's what I take from that. That's the important part, is to understand what it means to be loved, why you deserve to be loved, why we all deserve to be loved no matter what, why we shouldn't be judged, we shouldn't be rejected, we shouldn't be looked down on just because of certain parts of ourselves, who we are, what we look like, how we dress, whatever. Once we understand that concept, that we all have an equal right to be loved and respected and treated like human beings, then we can enter into the world of romantic relationships. When we don't have that real understanding of self-worth, that's when we can enter into relationships that actually aren't very healthy for us, but we aren't thinking properly because we don't realise that we deserve more than what they're giving to us. So that is what I believe is the important part about loving yourself. It's not about thinking you're this wonderful, amazing person and you love what you look like in the mirror. It's about appreciating who you are and what your self-worth is, what your value is in life, and respecting yourself enough to know that that's not acceptable and that I need to put a boundary in here. That's the important part for me. The next point they mention is that the trick to personal finance is budgeting and saving, but be limitless in your money mindset. Learn ways to increase and appreciate your abundance right now. Abundance does not just come in the form of money. Yes, saving is massively important. I've spent a lot of my time saving because I want to buy a house one day. When I went through university, I put away most of the loan that I got into a savings pot, which meant that when I moved out, I could put 6 months rent up front. To save having a guarantor on my rent, I just paid 6 months rent up front, and then that put me on the property ladder of renting, which was nice. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't have saved all the money that I did. I also think it sets you up for life and for things like the pandemic we've experienced. I haven't had to borrow any money at all from anybody because I've saved money. Yes, I'm self-employed, which means that my income dropped massively. I wasn't able to get a grant or anything from the government, but I was able to live off of my savings to ensure my rent was paid every month, my bills were paid, I had food on the table, I had everything I needed because I've saved the money. The next part that they mention is about being limitless in your money mindset. I'm not quite sure what that means. It kind of sounds a bit like the law of attraction to me, which I think can be a bit narrow-minded. What's more important than your mindset is your actions. You can have the most wonderful mindset in the world, but if you're going and spending every penny that you have just after payday, no matter what your mindset is, you're not going to have money. You're not going to be able to pay your bills if you've spent it all on food or on clothes or on a car or whatever. It's not just about your mindset, it's about the actions. Yes, your mindset needs to come first. If you have a good mindset with money, you're going to respect money and you're going to use it properly. You're not going to just spend it all on something or hoard it all away. You're going to have a proper relationship with it, understand how it works, and know that you need to spend money in certain areas and save money in others. But it's also important to know that money isn't everything. You can have a happy, fulfilled life without being a millionaire. As I mentioned a bit in the last video on this, that a lot of celebrities that have all of this money and fame aren't actually happy. That money shouldn't be that one goal that you want to achieve in life. You should be looking for more than just having a decent amount of money. So that last bit on abundance does not just come in the form of money is true. You can have an abundant life that comes from experiencing lots of different things, travelling to lots of countries, having lots of hobbies, reading a variety of books, experiencing different cultures, different foods. That can lead to an abundant life a lot more than just having lots of money. Yes, you need money to do most of those things. That's where that little dilemma comes in. So you want to have enough money to make sure you can live, but that shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be on the experiences you can gain through life, not just I want as much money as possible, because the only thing you can do with that is go around and flaunt it to your friends. Look at how much money I have in my bank. Whereas if you're using it wisely to invest in yourself and to invest in your future, that to me is far more important. The next point that I know I've definitely experienced, and I'm sure quite a lot of other people have too, saying that answering the question, what do I want to do with my life, is more often a process of elimination rather than a lightning bolt of inspiration. As lovely as it would be to just wake up one morning and go, oh my goodness, I know what I want to do with my life, I have had this vision and I'm off on this path, that doesn't tend to happen to most of us. Most of us have to try a lot of different things throughout our life and realise, this is not for me, this is not what I want to do with my life. This is not something that I enjoy. I thought I might have done. It seemed nice on paper, but entering into that job role or that relationship or that whatever, this isn't actually right for me. And we wouldn't have known that if we'd never tried it. I can read a job spec online and think this sounds wonderful, but then I can actually enter into the role and realise that what they were expressing through the job role isn't what I was taking on board, and it's not actually what works for me. It's not something that I would enjoy doing. I wouldn't know that unless I'd taken that job role. Which again, going back to last week's video about failure, that failure isn't a bad thing. It actually helps you to grow more. If you don't try all these things and realise they're not for you, how are you supposed to know what is for you? Most of us don't wake up and fall into a perfect job role. Many of us have ideas of things we want to do from a young age, but when we get a bit older and we learn more about the world and we actually understand what that job role entails, we might decide that's not actually for us. We might realise that something else is better suited to us, that we'd enjoy that more. But the only way we can learn about ourselves is by trying different things and seeing what doesn't work, and more importantly, why doesn't it work? What do I not like about this job role? What do I not like about this house, this country, this whatever it may be? Find out what it is you don't like, so then you can narrow it down to what do I like? If I don't like this, therefore, I need this in my life more. The next point they mention is have patience, because opportunity and success come in real time. Overnight success is not possible, and you don't have to love your job to be happy at it. Again, it sort of links to the last point, that you don't just wake up one day and know exactly what you're going to do. That we're all born with gifts and things we're naturally good at and we naturally really enjoy doing, we're naturally passionate at, but we don't always know what they are. We have to grow and go through life, try lots of different areas in education, in work, talking to friends and family and researching things to figure out what it is that we do want to do. And it's not always as easy as just deciding this is the perfect thing for me to do. I'm going to go and do this career path or earn money this way, and then suddenly we're successful. Most of the people that are massively successful, the Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world, many of them have tried lots of different things when they were younger, and they've not worked. This wasn't their one idea that they had, a bright idea overnight, and then it's a massive instant success. They've had to put the work in to get that success. Or alternatively, their family has already leveled them up in the world, has given them more income than most of us have. Maybe they've had a better head start in life through financial gain normally, or through their family being involved in the same sort of business, for them to be able to make that next step, to get that something that's really successful. But they haven't started from right down here at level 0 and suddenly gone up to level 100 overnight. I don't think anybody has ever done that. It's not something we can do. As much as we love the idea of the rags to riches story, it always takes time, it takes work, it takes learning, and it takes determination. If it was something that we could achieve overnight, what would we actually have learnt from it? We wouldn't have failed 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, and learnt all of these lessons. We would have just gone straight in at the top and not learnt that determination. And we wouldn't be able to turn around and help the other people to climb up the ladder with us, because we wouldn't know what it was like. We wouldn't have those experiences. We wouldn't have that empathy for them. So it's important that we fail, we realise that what we're doing is not right for us, we change, we make new decisions, we try again to get to that point. And also it's important to think, what is success? Is success having millions of pounds? Or is success learning more about yourself and knowing who you are and what you want, so that the job you're doing is something that you enjoy doing? It's something that makes a difference. It's something that makes you feel fulfilled. Yes, it's not going to make you happy all the time. Nothing can. We're all going to have parts of our jobs, parts of our lives that we don't enjoy. As long as it fulfills you, it meets your values, that's the important part. You don't have to absolutely love it, it's your dream job. but it does have to meet certain requirements, and it's important to find out what those are, what your values are, what you need from it. Do you need that stable job? Do you need the variety and freedom? Find out your values. That's what will make the job right for you. It's not going to be perfect, nothing can be, but it will be enough. It will be the good enough job for you. And the next point going on from it is that the workplace doesn't tolerate slackers. Don't be one. Be more than your job description. I think this is basically just saying continue and grow as a person. Don't just think I've entered into a job at this level, I'm going to stay this level for the rest of my life. You should want to improve yourself. Even if you don't want to go into a managerial role, you still want to grow and learn more about the role, learn more about yourself. We should always be growing and learning as we go through life. Don't ever get stagnant. Don't ever feel that this is enough. I am perfect the way I am. I don't need to improve anything ever, because that's just not true. You might have mastered your little area of expertise with what you know now, but there's so much out there in the world. There's so much variety, so many differences that we're never going to know everything there is to know. So we should always understand that we need to keep learning. It helps keep your brain active and healthy. It keeps you young. It keeps you humble, which is incredibly important. That as long as we know that we're not right at the top, there are still things we can learn and improve on, then it keeps us humble. It keeps us knowing that we're not better than everybody else out there, because that mindset can get us into thinking that we're better and they are bad, worse, wrong, whatever. That just causes disagreement. That just causes conflict. It's seen all throughout history where people think that because of their religion, their political opinion, the colour of their skin, their education level, their whatever, they think they're better than someone else. It puts the category of us versus them. And that's not helpful, because we are all a human race at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what you look like, what you think, whatever. Look at an x-ray, we're all exactly the same, we're all skeletons. But at the end of the day, none of that matters. We were all born the same way and we're all going to die the same way. So it's important to not get on your high horse and think you're better than someone else because you know more than them. You might know more in one area, but they know more in another area. And as long as we're continuing to learn and grow, we realise that we don't know everything and that we can learn from everybody else out there. We've all had different experiences in life, and we can all learn from what other people have experienced, no matter whether they're the same educational level as us or not, or whatever. The next point they mention is that entrepreneurs need to make sure that the business they are starting is solving a specific problem. The most important ingredients to being an entrepreneur are initiative and discipline. I think that's how so many people have made money over the years, is by coming up with a new idea of something that's going to solve someone's problem. You can't just create this wonderful item that isn't going to fulfill a need because nobody's going to buy it. You need to look for a gap in the market and see, all of this works great, but this is really not working right. It's taking too long, there's a problem with it, whatever. You find that gap in the market and create something that fulfills that gap, and that'll create the demand. Because if you see a need, you can then meet that need. And yes, you do need an awful lot of initiative and discipline. It's not something that you can just come up with a bright idea and then make millions from. You've got to have that initiative to come up with this idea in the first place, and the discipline to carry it out even when you're not seeing results. You need to keep pushing and keep fighting to eventually get anything from it. It's the hard work again that is not going to be an overnight success. The next point is that burnout is not a badge of honour. Don't try to do it all. Focus on the 5% you're great at and delegate the rest. That sort of sounds a little bit focused towards having a business, because the vast majority of us can't delegate things. I can't delegate cleaning the house, washing the dishes, putting the laundry out, whatever, to someone else. In a business setting, yes, I can delegate the tasks that I don't want to do or that I don't have time for because I'm busy doing other things. So that might not apply completely to your standard day-to-day life, but there are always things we can do to make it easier for us, to stop us from getting burned out. Even in our normal day-to-day lives, we can ask friends and family for help. Do simple things like hire someone to come and clean your house if you don't want to do it yourself. Pick a day to do all of the chores in one go, get them all done so you're not dragging them out over weeks and weeks. I think an important bit to add on to that would be, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Because if we're trying to do everything ourselves, then yes, we are going to get burned out. We are going to feel massively overwhelmed, and end up getting nothing done because we don't know where to start. We're just sitting in a pile of mess and we don't know where to go from here. Whereas if we're able to identify, I can't do this, realize that there's nothing wrong with that, be able to ask for help, get someone in who can do it, who is better at doing it than you are, who is more able, has more time, whatever, that's the strength, I think. That being able to admit that you need help. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a sign of strength. That's a sign of maturity. It's a sign of knowing yourself, knowing your limits, and also knowing other people's strengths. Knowing that this person is better at doing this than I am, so there's no point me spending 4 hours struggling trying to figure out how to do it when they can get it done in 10 minutes. I may as well ask for help, remove my ego from the equation, not sit there and think I don't need to ask for help. Grow up a bit, ask for that help, and then I can get more things done. I can do the things that I'm good at and ask for help on the things that I'm not good at. Maybe that's more of a way of looking at the delegation part. I can't delegate parts of my life to other people, but I can ask for help in the areas that aren't natural strengths for me. If I have the time to sit and spend 4 hours trying to figure it out, great, I'll do it. But if I've got a lot of other things on my plate, it makes more sense for me to ask someone else to help with it. So then I can dedicate my time to things that I am good at and that I can get done quickly. The next point also seems a little bit more geared towards businesses. It says, develop your personal brand. Remember, your passion makes you unique. That is definitely something you can do regarding a business, but again, turning it back to your day-to-day life, understanding your interests, your passions, what you love, can just make life easier for you. Because if you can go into a job role that's related to that, you're going to be a lot happier just from the get-go. The same as if you can find hobbies that are related to your passion. That's going to help massively. If you're going through life earning a decent wage, in a stable home, decent job, whatever, but you're not doing something you're passionate about, then you're going to feel that there's a massive gap in your life, that there's something missing. So being able to identify what that is, and then finding an area where you can start doing that passion. Is it something you can do in your job role? Is it something you can do in your hobby? Is it something you can do in your free time? Is it something you have to start up doing? Is it something you need to research and learn more about? Do you have friends that are doing it already? Once you can incorporate that into your life, you're going to feel more fulfilled and more well-rounded. We all have unique passions, and I find it fascinating to understand what other people's passions are, because they're going to be so different from my own, and it's interesting to see, why do you enjoy that? What about that really excites you? It can help you to understand more about your own passions, and also, if you don't know what your passions are, understanding other people's love for things, why they really enjoy those things, can help you to see, oh, actually, I really enjoy that. I hadn't thought of that as a passion up until now, but listening to that person and how they talk about this topic that excites them has helped me to see that I'm passionate about this. And it's back to learning more about yourself again, which I think is massively important in life. The next point they mention is write down what you want to be known for. Make a list of your professional and character values and never sell out. Sort of sounds a little bit like a bucket list. I think it would be important for us to be able to write down what we want to achieve in our lives, but also to not put too much pressure on that. Because if you put down things like, I want to build a massive home, I want to become a millionaire, I want to travel to every single country in the world, things like that can get quite scary if we look at them and think, I don't have that long left in my life, where am I going to get the money from? Yes, have those big aspirations, but at the same time, add in, like they say, the character values. I want to be known for being a kind person. I want to make one person smile each day. I want to help people to learn and grow. I want to educate people. I want to, whatever it is, find out what your little values are. They're the things that will make more of an impact than, oh, they earned £10 million 1 year. It's going to mean more if they were a really kind and generous person, and I remember I was always able to go to them and they'd always make me smile. They'd always have some good advice for me. I could call them at 3 o'clock in the morning and they were always there. Those little things are what I think is more important for people to remember you by, the small things. The next point they mention is that your thoughts are creating your reality. So you are either attracting things to you or repelling them from you. Be mindful of your thoughts. Again, I'm not overly fond of the law of attraction. It really is difficult for people that struggle with mental health issues, for one, that they aren't often in control of their thoughts. It's difficult to tell someone that it's their fault that they're attracting bad things into their life. Maybe I'll have to do a video on it, but I'm not very fond of the law of attraction at all. I don't agree with this point. It doesn't necessarily matter how you think. It's more important how you act. Yes, your thoughts play a role. If you have a very negative opinion of other people, you're going to treat them negatively. So you want to try and have a more positive opinion of other people. The same for yourself, as I was saying before. If you don't have any self-worth, you're not going to invite people into your life that are going to treat you the way you should be treated. You're going to naturally seek out people that don't treat you well because that's what you think you deserve. So it's not necessarily your thoughts, it's more your beliefs that I think is the problem. If you believe you're better than other people, you're going to treat people badly. If you believe you're way worse than other people, you're going to let people walk all over you. So your thoughts don't come into it as much for me. You need to have the correct beliefs about yourself and about other people, and you need to make sure that the actions you choose to do are in line with those correct beliefs and are beneficial to both you and to other people. Don't just sit there and think that, oh, I'm going to ask for £1 million and it's going to appear. Thoughts by themselves can't do anything. It's if you dwell on a thought and it becomes a belief, that's when it becomes a problem, if it's negative. Thoughts themselves just come and go, just like emotions. We can feel happy one minute, sad the next, angry the next, scared the next. It just comes and goes like a roller coaster. Just like thoughts, they come and go in your mind. You can either grab hold of that thought, dwell on it, and it can become a belief, or it can become an action, or you can just let it pass through. The thoughts themselves aren't the problem, it's what you do with them. Do you make them become a belief? Do you turn them into action? That, I think, is more of an issue than just the thoughts by themselves. But I'll leave it at that for now. The next point is that stop comparing yourself to everyone else and being so hard on yourself. Don't use Facebook as a torture device. Quiet your inner mean girl or inner mean dude and be your own best friend. Be nice to yourself. Again, this is something that's come up massively from having social media. We're able to take our phones and to look at other people's lives and their highlight reel, because nobody puts their true selves on the internet. Nobody puts their complete, full, true life on the internet. They only post what they want other people to see, whether that's positive or negative. It's still only a snippet of their life. So we're comparing other people's outside world to our inner world, as I like to think of it. No one else knows what goes on in our head, only we do. And we won't post what goes on in our head onto social media. We'll only post what we want other people to see. Look how happy I am, look how much money I have, look how wonderful my relationship is, and how nice the holiday was, how perfectly clean my house is, how healthy my lunch is. That's what we'll post, that's what other people will see. So you're not comparing yourself to the actual real version of them, only what they want you to see. So the important part is to compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Because you know all who you were yesterday. You know the good bits, the bad bits, the things you want to improve on, the things you want to keep doing, the things you want to stop doing. That's far more important and far more helpful to you if you compare yourself to yourself. Look back 5 years and say, I've come this far, I've stopped doing that bad thing, I've started doing this good habit more, I don't think like that anymore, I don't believe that anymore, I've changed this, I've grown this, I've learnt and become a better person. That's what you need to compare to, not to other people. They're living their life, they've had different experiences to you, they're on a completely different path. You can't compare yourself to someone who's on a completely different path to you. That's the important part to take away, I think. The next point is that you're a grown-up now. It's time to lovingly cut the umbilical cord with your parents and live your life. I think that one's probably quite specific, maybe, to, I don't know, whoever wrote this. Maybe they had a specific instance of it. Maybe it's related to a point from last week's video about your parents wanting you to do the career that they've picked for you, that they think would be right. Maybe it's just you following in your parents' footsteps, and that now you need to take that stand, go to the edge of your nest, spread your wings and fly and learn and grow yourself. You need to make your own decisions. You can't just live in their footsteps, in their shadow for the whole of your life, because you'll never become your own person. You need to learn and grow and understand who you are. What do you like? What do you not like? Sort of a running theme, it seems to be here, that you need to grow and learn more about yourself. That's the important thing to take from this, is that you don't know everything now, but through making mistakes, through experiencing things, through living, you'll then learn more about who you are, what you like and what you don't like. The next point is learn the language of your intuition and how to recognise when your heart is speaking to you, and then how to respond once it does. I think intuition is a difficult one for people. To some people it's very loud to them. Again, this sort of goes back to my previous videos on personality, of some people live more through intuition than they do through what they see in the actual world. I, for one, am like that. My intuition speaks to me a lot. For instance, when I'm driving in my car or on my motorbike, my intuition will tell me that car is about to pull into your lane. You need to move. And I will then speed up if I can, or I will slow down depending on the situation, or change lanes, whatever I can do, and then that car comes into my lane. I've learnt to recognise when my intuition is telling me something like that and to act on it, because it's always right. I can't explain to you how I know that car's going to do it. Maybe out of the corner of my eye I caught them looking in their mirror, or their tyres moved slightly, or whatever. I'm sure if I recorded that instance and then went back over it, I might see something, but I've just learnt that if my intuition tells me that car's going to pull into your lane, that I need to get out of the way or do something to make sure that it doesn't hit me. That's not the case for everyone. Intuition can be very different. I know something that we all have is on first encounters. Sometimes we pick up there's something about that person that I'm not sure about. We might not know what it is. We might later down the line find out that they're a wanted criminal, that they've cheated 100 times, they've stolen from people, they're just abusive and horrible, whatever it is. But it's that sort of gut instinct of, there's something I don't like, I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something I'm not sure about. And listening to that does not mean never see that person again, never talk to them. It just means be on your guard. Don't give your heart to them, don't open up to them massively. Wait for a little bit more proof and confirmation that what you thought was right or not, because that's not always going to be right. Maybe you've just had a bad day, or they look like someone you knew a while back, and your brain's putting them together and saying, well, that person was mean, they look similar, therefore they're going to be mean. So just keep it in the back of your mind that there may be something that I need to be aware of, and then wait for proof before you act on it. That's the important thing I find with that part of intuition. Don't just dismiss people and say, yeah, I don't like you, therefore never going to talk to you again. That is not helpful. Just be on your guard. Have your walls up a little bit to know there may be something wrong, but don't just dismiss that person, and don't give them all of you straight away. Be a little bit on guard. Let them earn your trust and earn your respect first to see, is this going to turn into anything, or was this just my brain being overly cautious? The next point is to find a cause that you have an emotional tie to. Educate yourself on the mission and get involved. Service is a key ingredient to happiness. I think this goes alongside the passion that I mentioned earlier, that finding something that you're emotionally connected to and you're interested in will be sort of your passion. If that's something you can then get involved in that's like a voluntary charity organisation, go and do that. If it's something you learn more about that you can share with other people and educate them in, go and do that. If it's something that you turn into a business and start selling to people, go and do that. It is important to find something that interests you in life. We all have different things, and it would be good to incorporate them into your life one way or another, however that may be. And the last point that they mention in this post is adopt a what can I give versus a what can I get mindset. This is how you truly make an impact on the world. Again, that's understanding what you have, the gifts that you were born with, and how you can use them in the world. Rather than thinking that the world needs to hand you everything on a silver platter, it's realising that you were put on this earth with these gifts, with these things you're good at, and how can you use them to improve the world? How can you make a difference? How can you ensure that when you're gone, you will have made a positive impact on this world, however big, however small. You don't need to change the world and have peace on earth and stop all natural disasters and whatever. It can just be little something like making one person smile every day, so that when people go, they know they were a kind person. They were there for me when I needed them, even that one time. Just something. What can you do with the gifts you've been given? How can you help other people with them? It doesn't have to be your life's goal just to help others. Of course, we all need to figure out things for ourselves too. But once we understand what our gifts are, it's natural for us to give them. That's why they're called gifts. You give gifts to other people. It helps you to feel fulfilled in life when you can see that something you're naturally good at is having a positive impact on someone else. It's making them smile, it's educating them, it's helping them to grow, helping them to discover themselves, making their life easier, whatever it is. It's having a positive impact. And again, that goes back to you need to learn and discover more about yourself to find out what your gifts are. I've said this is a running theme throughout the whole of these 2 videos, I think, that we just need to know more about ourselves, know who we are, what we want, what we're good at, what we're not good at, our strengths, our weaknesses. And as we get older, we learn more about ourselves, we learn more about what we like and what we don't, what we can do well and what we can't, how we can help other people and how we need help ourselves. That's the main thing, learning more about who we are. That's what I think you should take away from this video, or these videos, that when we're in our 20s and even in our 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and so on, we're still going to be learning more about who we are. That's an exciting journey for us to take. And as we learn and grow and understand more about ourselves, we're able to use that in a more positive way towards others, to help the community, to help the world. I think that's important. But anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your time.